In the United States, over 33% of adults aged 65 and older struggle with muscle loss and chronic joint pain. Every day, millions wake up feeling weaker than the day before, stiff knees, aching backs, and a growing fear that they're slowly losing their independence. But here in my little town in Japan, I see something very different. Just last Tuesday, I watched my neighbor Mrs. Takahashi, she's 91, riding her bicycle to the morning market. Her back was straight, her steps steady, and in her basket, fresh vegetables, tofu, and a little packet of something most Americans have never heard of. She's not an exception here. Many of us live well into our 80s and 90s with strong legs and steady hands, not because of magic or money, but because of one quiet secret on our plates. A food so ordinary in Japan, yet almost unknown in the West. Before we begin, I'd love to know, where are you watching this from, and what time is it for you right now? Please let me know in the comments below. I truly look forward to reading them. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss what's coming next. The winter. My knees gave out, and the breakfast that brought me back. I still remember the winter morning when my body whispered, "You're not who you used to be." I was 74. The house was quiet, and I stood at the bottom of the stairs, staring up, unsure if my knees could carry me. They trembled under my weight. My hands ached from holding the railing too tightly the day before. I had always been strong. I raised 3 children, worked in our family's small rice fields, and carried baskets from the market with pride. But that year, it felt like something inside me had turned off. My joints throbbed even when I was lying down. My muscles had gone soft, and I was afraid of every step. My doctor gave me some medicine for the pain. Gentle movement, he advised. It helped for a little while, but the fear stayed, the fear of falling, of depending on others, of slowly disappearing into weakness. I tried many things: herbs, warming patches, even acupuncture. Some brought comfort, but none brought me back to myself. Then, one spring morning, I visited my cousin Keiko in Okinawa. She was 87 and still growing vegetables behind her house. That morning before breakfast, she opened a small packet, stirred the sticky beans inside until they formed threads, and mixed it into her rice with a bit of mustard and soy sauce. "Natto," she said, smiling. "It smells strange, but it keeps the legs strong." I laughed. I hadn't eaten natto since I was a child. I never liked the texture. But I trusted her. I took a bite. The taste was earthy, the smell unfamiliar, but something about it felt alive, almost electric. I ate it again the next morning and again the next week when I returned home. After a month, the change began. I stood up from my futon without bracing my hands. I could climb the stairs without stopping halfway. The tightness in my knees softened, the fatigue in my thighs faded. I no longer needed to hold the wall as I walked. My daughter noticed first. "Mom, you're moving like your old self again," she said. That made me smile, quietly, gratefully. Now I've eaten natto every morning for over 10 years. It's my companion, fermented soybeans, humble and odd, yet deeply healing. I'm not telling you this as advice. I'm simply sharing a story. Because I know what it feels like to lose trust in your own body. And I also know sometimes the smallest things can lead you home. Why Americans turn to sardines. But the Japanese eat something else. In America, when you start to feel weak in your joints or lose muscle strength, the usual advice is eat more fish. Sardines, salmon, mackerel foods, rich in omega-3s, calcium, and vitamin D. And yes, they are healthy. But in Japan, we rarely turn to sardines for joint health. Instead, we eat something far less glamorous, sticky, smelly, and to many foreigners strange. We eat natto. Now don't get me wrong, sardines are not bad. They have their place, especially for heart health. But when it comes to rebuilding muscle, easing joint pain, and keeping the body agile as we age, we Japanese look elsewhere. The reason lies in something deeper than just protein or calcium. It lies in how our bodies use those nutrients and in what gets absorbed. You see, when I was younger, I thought strong bones came from drinking milk and eating fish. That's what I heard on the radio. But then in my 70s, I began noticing something. Some of my friends who ate very well lots of fish, even sardines, still developed brittle bones and needed help walking. Meanwhile, others who stuck to simple meals, rice miso soup, and yes, natto, moved with surprising ease. The difference wasn't just the food itself. It was how that food worked with the body. Let me explain. Natto is not just a protein source, it's a living food. It's made by fermenting soybeans with a special bacteria called Bacillus subtilis natto. This process creates something you won't find in sardines, vitamin K2, in its most active form, MK7. Why does that matter? Because K2 is what helps calcium go into your bones and stay out of your arteries. Without enough K2, all the calcium in the world won't fix your joints. It may even cause more problems. But natto doesn't stop there. It also contains an enzyme called nattokinase, which supports healthy blood flow, something essential for bringing nutrients to your muscles and joints. And the fermentation breaks down the soy protein, making it easier to absorb and more gentle on aging digestion. Compare that with sardines. Yes, they offer protein and omega-3s, but they lack these unique components. More importantly, sardines don't support the same kind of cellular repair and regeneration that fermented foods can. In Japan, we don't just think about adding nutrients. We think about what helps the body use them. That's part of our philosophy called shokuiku, the belief that food is a tool for both nourishment and harmony. It's why meals are small, balanced, and often include something fermented. So while Americans might reach for sardines in a can hoping to strengthen their joints, we reach for a bowl of rice, a spoonful of natto, and a quiet morning. The results speak for themselves. Mrs. Takahashi, my 91-year-old neighbor who still rides her bike every day, she's never taken supplements, but she's eaten natto since she was a little girl. And maybe that's the real secret. The Japanese superfood that rebuilds from within. Why I never skip my morning natto. The first time I ate natto as an adult, I wrinkled my nose. It smelled like something forgotten at the back of the fridge, pungent, earthy, sticky. The beans clung to my chopsticks in long, stringy threads. It wasn't love at first bite, but sometimes love grows with habit. That morning, I sat at my kitchen table the same way I had as a child. A bowl of warm rice, a raw egg, a pack of natto. I stirred it 40 times as my mother once taught me until it bubbled slightly, then poured it over the rice. The smell rose up, and I remembered this was food for the strong, and I was tired of feeling weak. Most people outside Japan have never even heard of natto. But here it's been part of our breakfast for generations, especially in the countryside where people often live the longest. We don't eat it for taste. We eat it for what it does to our bodies. Let me tell you what's inside this humble food. Vitamin K2, the unsung hero for bones and joints. Unlike vitamin K1, which comes from leafy greens and mostly helps with blood clotting, K2 is the one that truly matters for aging bones. It tells your body to send calcium where it's needed into your bones and teeth, and keeps it out of places it shouldn't be, like arteries and joints. Natto is the richest natural source of vitamin K2 MK7 on Earth. Just one serving a day provides far more than what's found in meat, cheese, or supplements. When I started eating natto daily, I wasn't thinking of vitamins, but over time I noticed my bones didn't feel so fragile. My knees moved more freely. I stopped worrying about every step. Nattokinase, nature's circulation. Booster fermentation doesn't just change the flavor, it unlocks powerful compounds. One of them is nattokinase, an enzyme found only in natto. It helps support healthy blood flow by gently breaking down excess fibrin in the blood. Why does that matter? Because better circulation means better delivery of nutrients, especially to joints and muscles. For older adults like me, that means less stiffness, more warmth in the limbs, and better recovery after movement. Fermented protein, easy to digest, easy to absorb. Soybeans are already full of plant-based protein, but when fermented, that protein becomes easier to digest. The process also reduces compounds that can cause bloating or inflammation. For aging digestion, this makes a big difference. After I began eating natto regularly, I felt less sluggish after meals. My energy returned in small but steady waves. I didn't need to nap after breakfast anymore. How we eat it in Japan. In my house, we keep things simple. I usually have natto with warm white rice, a raw egg very fresh, a bit of soy sauce, and sometimes chopped green onion or mustard. On weekends, I might add a few strips of nori or a spoonful of kimchi. Some of my friends mix natto into miso soup or wrap it in seaweed like tiny sushi rolls. We never think of it as a superfood. It's just part of the morning, like brushing your teeth. Quiet routine, powerful. What it gave me. I don't believe in miracles, but I believe in small things done every day. Natto didn't heal me overnight. It worked slowly, like spring thawing winter. I regained strength not through force, but through nourishment. People ask me now, "What's your secret?" I smile. There is no secret. Just sticky beans, a warm bowl of rice, and a body that remembers how to heal when we give it the right tools. What science says about natto. The proof. Behind the tradition. When I was younger, we didn't question why we ate certain foods. My mother used to say, if your grandmother lived to 98 eating this, you don't need a scientist to tell you it works. But now we live in a world that wants proof. And you know what? The science has caught up with tradition. Over the past 2 decades, researchers in Japan and around the world have begun to look closely at natto, and what they found is remarkable. Stronger bones backed by research. One of the most well-known studies comes from the University of Tokyo, where researchers tracked over 1,000 women for more than 10 years. They discovered that women who ate natto regularly had significantly higher bone density than those who didn't. The difference vitamin K2, especially the MK7 form found only in natto. In simple terms, their bones stayed stronger longer. Another study published in the Journal of Bone and Mineral Metabolism found that natto consumption helped reduce the rate of bone loss in postmenopausal women, a group especially vulnerable to fractures and osteoporosis. This is why doctors in Japan now recommend natto to older patients, especially women over 60, as a natural way to support bone health. Muscle strength and blood flow. But natto doesn't just help bones. Remember, nattokinase. The enzyme I mentioned earlier, researchers at Miyazaki Medical College found that this unique compound improves blood circulation by gently supporting the breakdown of fibrin, a substance that can thicken the blood and slow down circulation as we age. Better circulation means better delivery of oxygen and nutrients to muscles. This can help reduce cramps, improve walking stability, and even support heart health. I didn't know any of this when I started eating natto again. I only knew that my legs hurt less and I stopped needing to grip the handrail so tightly. But looking back now, it makes sense. Longevity and natto regions. In Japan, areas with the highest natto consumption like Ibaraki and Tochigi prefectures also tend to have some of the longest living people. It's not just about natto, of course, but the correlation is hard to ignore. These communities have low rates of heart disease and fractures, and many older adults remain active well into their 90s. It's the kind of evidence that gives both comfort and motivation. What my grandmother did instinctively, science now confirms natto supports the body where it needs it most. If you can't eat natto, what else can you do? I'll be honest with you, natto is not for everyone. Even in Japan, many people avoid it because of the smell, the texture, or the way it clings to your chopsticks like spider silk. My own granddaughter, who grew up in Tokyo, still grimaces when I serve it. Grandma, she says it smells like old socks, and I understand. But don't worry if you can't bring yourself to eat natto. There are still gentle and effective ways to bring its benefits into your life. Make it easier to enjoy. First, don't give up after the first bite. There are ways to ease yourself into the flavor. Try mixing natto with a little soy sauce and chopped green onions. Add a spoonful of kimchi or mustard to mask the smell. Eat it over warm rice where the heat softens the texture. Some people blend natto into miso soup or wrap it in seaweed like sushi. Others mix it with avocado or even in omelets. Texture and temperature make a big difference. I've found that chilling natto for an hour before eating it reduces the smell and makes it more palatable for beginners. If you're curious but hesitant, start small. Even half a pack a few times a week can begin to support your joints and bones. Natto supplements, a practical option. If you truly can't handle natto, the next best thing is a high-quality supplement, especially those that contain vitamin K2, MK7, and nattokinase, the two key nutrients that make natto so special. Look for K2 supplements derived from natto, not synthetic ones, so your body can absorb it effectively. MK7 is the form that stays in your bloodstream longer and helps guide calcium into your bones and out of your joints and arteries. Nattokinase supplements, often taken for heart and circulation health, are also widely available. But always check with your doctor before starting any new supplement, especially if you take blood thinners or medications for heart conditions. Other fermented foods. If you're open to exploring Japanese food traditions beyond natto, try adding fermented foods to your diet. Miso soup, pickled vegetables, or aged soy sauces can offer mild support for gut health and digestion. While they don't provide the same level of K2 or nattokinase, they still support the body's natural repair systems and bring warmth to your meals. What matters most? At the end of the day, it's not about being perfect. It's about doing what you can. One small habit done consistently can open the door to strength, comfort, and resilience. Natto might not become your favorite food, but perhaps it will become your quiet ally, either in a bowl of rice or in a daily capsule, helping your body remember what it feels like to stand tall, walk steady, and trust itself again. More than a meal. How Japanese food culture protects joints and muscle. When I was growing up, meals in our home were quiet and full of care. We didn't rush. We didn't snack mindlessly. We sat on the floor together facing small dishes filled with balance, not just in flavor but in intention. In Japan, we don't eat for fullness. We eat for harmony. This is the heart of a philosophy called shokuiku, a word that means food education, but it carries a deeper meaning. It's about learning to eat in a way that supports the body, the mind, and the spirit. For us elders, it's what has helped us stay strong long after the bones begin to thin and the muscles shrink. The power of a balanced meal. A traditional Japanese breakfast may look small to some, but it is powerful in its simplicity. A bowl of steamed white rice, a serving of natto stirred until sticky, a raw or lightly cooked egg, a cup of miso soup with seaweed and tofu, a small plate of pickled vegetables. Sometimes a piece of grilled fish. Each item plays a role. The rice gives energy. The natto builds and protects. The miso soup warms the belly and supports digestion. The pickles provide probiotics and fiber. And the egg and fish offer clean protein. There's very little processed food, no sugary cereals, no heavy cream or butter, and everything is served in small portions so you can listen to your body, not override it. This way of eating doesn't overload the system. It feeds gently, steadily, and deeply. Why sitting on the floor matters. We don't just eat differently, we sit differently. In many traditional Japanese homes, including mine, we sit on tatami mats at low tables. Getting up and down from the floor may seem inconvenient, but it's actually a hidden form of exercise. It strengthens the legs, the hips, and the core. It keeps us limber without needing a gym. Even in old age, this movement done multiple times a day can help maintain muscle tone and balance. I believe this is one reason why many Japanese elders remain agile far into their 80s and 90s. The unseen ingredient: mindfulness. We begin meals with a quiet phrase, "Itadakimasu," I humbly receive, and we end with "Gochisu-sama deshita," thank you for the meal. These words remind us that food is not just fuel. It is connection to nature, to family, to ourselves. When you eat with gratitude, your body responds differently. You chew more, you notice flavors, you eat slower, and your digestion, your energy, even your inflammation levels reflect that difference. Gentle movements. Quiet strength. The Japanese way to stay active. After 60. You don't need a gym membership to stay strong. You don't need heavy weights or intense workouts. In Japan, many elders stay healthy with something far simpler: movement with intention. Let me tell you how I move through my day. Each morning after breakfast, I put on a light jacket and walk to the river. It's only about 15 minutes away. I take small steps. I don't rush. I walk slowly, breathing in the crisp air, feeling the ground beneath my feet. This isn't exercise the way the West defines it. It's more like returning to your body, listening to it, trusting it again. The power of slow walking science now shows what we elders have always felt. Walking even slowly helps improve joint lubrication, maintains muscle tone, and keeps balance steady. It supports the heart, clears the mind, and lifts the spirit. But in Japan, walking is more than movement, it's presence. That's why you'll see older people strolling through parks in the early morning alone, or in small groups sharing quiet smiles as they pass. Breathing like the mountains. Do another thing I practice is deep breathing. In Japanese culture, we call it kokyu. It's simple: inhale slowly through the nose for 4 counts, hold for 4. Exhale through the mouth for 6 or 8. Do this for 5 minutes each morning. It calms the nervous system, increases oxygen flow, and gently strengthens your diaphragm and posture. Many elders here practice this before meditation or tea. When I started breathing this way during my walks, I noticed my steps grew lighter, my thoughts softened. The day began to feel more manageable, even joyful. Sitting on the floor, a natural stretch. We've already talked about how we sit on the floor in Japan, but I want to share one more detail. Sitting like this is a daily stretch. Each time I rise from the floor, I use muscles that support my knees, hips, and core. It's a small act of resistance against aging, and yet it never feels like exercise, just life. Getting older doesn't mean fading. It means returning to what truly supports you: a warm bowl of rice, a sticky spoonful of natto, a quiet walk by the river, a breath that fills your chest without pain. If your body feels tired today, if your knees ache or your legs feel unsure, please don't give up. Strength doesn't come all at once. It returns gently with each small step. You don't need to change your whole life. Start with one thing, maybe natto, maybe a 5-minute walk, maybe sitting down slowly and standing back up with awareness. That's how we grow strong again, not through force, but through consistency, simplicity, and care. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope you found something here to carry with you. If you did, I'd love to hear what was your favorite part of today's video. Leave a comment below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe so you won't miss what's coming next. And remember, this video is for education and inspiration. It is not medical advice. If you have any health concerns, please consult with your doctor or local healthcare provider. And if you believe you are experiencing a medical emergency, contact emergency services right away.